Ciao, I'm Mary Ann Esposito. Today on Ciao Italia, fantastic farro. Farro, yes. We are going to make a couple recipes today using farro. And I'm sure that you've heard of this. It's kind of in right now. So it is a wheat grain. It's a grain, a very ancient grain. And you can buy farro in the store. Looks like this. It's a wheat berry, you see? And it's brown looking. And there are several ways to buy it. You can get it already hulled, in which case it's known as pearled or semi-pearled. And that means that the outer husk, the bran, the part that has all the nutritional value, has been taken away. So my recommendation, if you can, is to use farro integrale, or the whole grain farro, where the bran is still there. So the outer husk has not been taken away. But it's not easy often to find this. I'm not saying there isn't nutritional value in this. There is, but there is more in this. So it's your choice. So when I cook with farro, I use a ratio of 2 cups of liquid to about 1 cup of farro. So cooked, that is going to give you about 3 cups of cooked farro. And for what we're doing today, we need about 6 cups of cooked farro. So what are we going to make? Well, we're going to make something called a torta di farro, a farro cake. And let me show you how it goes. So first of all, you want to prepare the pan. So we're doing this in a spring-form pan. So it has a little latch here. You take this off and the base remains intact with the ingredients on top of it. So I'm going to just oil the pan a little bit with some extra virgin olive oil. And I like this recipe because this is not a cake in the sense that it's sweet. This is a savory, and it's made with herbs and eggs and cheese, and it's just very, very good for you, very nutritious. So once you've oiled your pan, remind yourself to oil it well because you're going to be taking the side off. So this is a 9.5-inch spring-form pan. Then once you have it oiled like that, you want to give it some breadcrumbs. This is going to help get the farro cake out nicely when you take the side latch off. So you want to just breadcrumb the bottom, the sides, and then if you have any extra, you just shake those out. Okay? So there's our prepared pan, and that you could do ahead of time. You could put it in the refrigerator. So then with this, we're going to need some herbs. So here we have a variety, and you can use whatever kind of herbs you want. So we have some oregano. We have some parsley, flat leaf Italian. We have some sage. We have some thyme. And we have some basil. So what you want to do is chop all those up. So I'm going to make a little pile here of all these different herbs. This is going to add really, really nice flavor to this torta. And the first time I ever had farro was when I was traveling in Umbria. I was traveling in Umbria one year with the TV crew, actually, and we stopped at a little country farm, and the woman that I was working with was speaking rapid Italian. I was trying to just keep up with her, and she was making a farro soup, and that was my introduction to using farro. So now today I use it in a lot of different recipes, and I just think that the fresh herbs add just such a nice dimension to this. So what do you do with this farro torta once you've got it baked? Well, it can be a lunch dish, it could be a supper dish. It's really a meal in one because you've got your fiber, you've got protein, you've got your carbs, so you've got really a complete meal here. So get those herbs pretty fine. You could also do this in a food processor if you didn't want to do it this way, but you would really bruise those leaves too much. Smelling really, really good. This cake, the torta, is going to bake in the oven for about 25, 35 minutes, just till it's set. It's a pretty dense torta, so you only really need a small piece of it. All right, that's good. And here is some thyme. We're just going to pull those thyme leaves off the stem here and add them to the pile. And oh, when I did that, I just got such a nice whiff of thyme. Okay, that looks good. So you want about 2 tablespoons of each. That's what that comes down to once you've got it all minced together. So we're just going to set this aside now. And with it, we need something to bind that farro. So here we have 4 eggs. I'm going to put a little bit of salt, some pepper, and we just want to whisk that up. So break up those eggs. And you could add a variety of cheeses to this. I'm using grated Parmigiano Reggiano with this today, but you could use anything. You could use mozzarella cheese if you wanted to. You could use fontina cheese. Now once the eggs are whisked, then we're going to add some cheese. Here we have some grated Parmigiano Reggiano. About a half a cup goes in. Whisk that in. This is our binder. This is what's going to keep all of that farro together. And now we need those herbs. Plunk them right there. And give that a whisk. This is so easy. And now we have our farro. I know what you're saying. That looks like a heap of farro, and it is. But if you've ever had it, it's got a nice chewy. It's got a chewy consistency. And you want to cook it, we cooked it in chicken broth. You want to cook it till it still has some texture and still has a little bite to it, because it's going to cook again in the oven. So this goes in here. And now we mix that all together, combining it well. And we're going to pack this right into that pan that we prepared. I love this just with a salad on the side. It's great with fish. If you're having a fish dinner, this could be a side to fish, to chicken, to just about anything really. And it's an unusual way to use the farro, as opposed to just having it boiled or, you know, plain. Having it with all of these herbs kind of makes it special. So once it's well combined, then we're going to pack it into that springform pan. Okay, so here's our pan, ready to go. Get it in there. Oh, I wish you could smell all these herbs. Okay. And now we spread that down, making sure that it's even all the way around. Look how pretty that looks with the herbs. All right, that's looking great. Give it a tap. Oven's on, 350, 25, 30 minutes. When a knife goes in and comes out clean, you know it's done. So, that's how you make the torta di farro. So continuing on the farro theme, here we have 1 cup of farro that has been cooked, and it's yielding about 3 cups of cooked farro. So what we're going to do with this is make a salad. So get your farro cooked, and then you have options here. So let's start with some fennel. This wonderful Italian fennel, and when you buy it in the grocery store, oftentimes you see it'll have some bruising on it, and people take the outer piece off and throw it away, but that's not a good idea. First of all, wash it. You should wash all your vegetables really in very hot, soapy water really. So you wash and dry your vegetables. And then what I do is when I see that I have a spot like that is I just take a vegetable peeler and I just go gently around the outside, just taking a little bit of that outer bulb off because all of this is really good. So just go around wherever you see a spot, and that's all you have to do. So as you know, fennel has a nice licorice flavor, so it's perfect for a salad like this. So we don't need all of this. We need about a cup. So I'm going to take and cut this. Usually we just eat this raw, but it's also good cooked. And I'm going to take off some of these sweet little looking fronds at the top. See? I'm going to put them in my salad bowl. I like to do that with a scissors. And this just gives a nice color, also different little bit of flavor. A lot of people don't like the flavor of fennel because they think it's too licoricey tasting. But it's really a wonderful vegetable, even cooked. So I'm going to put that aside, and we're going to work with this. Now the stalk part I save for soup, and even some of the fronds I save for soup, so you don't want to get rid of that either. So then, and I know that this is a really nice fresh one because it's really hard to cut into it. You want that. You don't want something that's soft and gushy. So we're just going to cut this up to small pieces and add that to our salad bowl. So you can just build this salad however you would like, using whatever vegetables you like. And I'm tempted to eat a piece of this right now, but I won't. Because the Italians look at this as a digestivo, something that they eat raw after they eat their main meal. So I'm going to add that to the salad bowl. Maybe I'll just have one. I'll wash my hands. That's a good one. Sometimes the flavors on some are better than others. All right, so that's the fennel. How about we do some mushrooms? And for that, I like to use a little mushroom brush, see? When you get the mushrooms home, you don't really want to soak them in water because that's going to make them soggy. Either use a mushroom brush like this, or you can take a wet paper towel and just wipe them off. Okay? Just wipe them off. And when you buy mushrooms, you really want to look to make sure you're not getting old ones. And the way you know that is to look right there at the stem. And if it's open, if there are any open parts of that, you see, you know that you've got old mushrooms. That's when you ring the produce bell. And you call out the little produce manager with a nice smile. And you say, "Buongiorno, signore. Io vorrei I funghi freschi." He'll know exactly what you're talking about. So you want fresh mushrooms. So you are the one who has all the power when you go shopping, because you can go right for that little produce bell and somebody will be coming out and saying, "Oh, may I help you?" And you just say, "I would like some fresh vegetables." Okay, so that's about a cup of mushrooms. So they go in. You could use button mushrooms, cremini mushrooms, shiitake mushrooms if you wanted to. And then we have a beautiful looking sweet red pepper. Isn't that nice? So we're just going to take the top off of that, cut down the center, take out this core area, and get rid of that. And that white veining that you see in there, don't you love this? This is my little pepper scooper. And I got this from my friend Terry Murray, who's out there in California making these wonderful artisan pasta tools. And he said, "Mary Ann, why are you doing that? All you have to do is use this to take out that center vein," which I think this is a great tool. I use it for other things too, but it's perfect for this. So just take out that white part. Okay? And we have nice looking pepper halves. Shake out the seeds. And then you can add that. Now, you could use yellow peppers, orange peppers. You like green peppers? Put green peppers in. But what we're trying to do here is give the farro some color as well as added taste. So I think the red pepper is a nice addition to that. I want about a cup of that too. So the red peppers go in. I think that's about enough. Maybe do a couple more here for you. You could use fresh peas with this. Fava beans would be wonderful if they're in season. Just start to mix that around. Look at how pretty that looks. And then we could have some tomatoes. Here's some beautiful cherry tomatoes. I'm going to add a couple of those. Cherry tomatoes will give this really nice flavor. And this is my tomato knife. What that does is prevents you from tearing the tomato. See? It just makes a nice clean cut. It's a great tool to use for cheeses, for soft cakes like angel food cake, for instance. So now we're going to add our tomatoes. Great salad for company. So the tomatoes go in. Now, to add even more flavor to this, look at how gorgeous this is now. To add even more flavor, we're going to have some capers. You don't like capers? Then just leave them out. This gives a little bit of a puckery taste to the salad. And we've got some thyme, or you could use some other herb. Put the thyme in. Of course we want salt. And we want un po' di pepe. And we're going to set this aside now because now we have to make the dressing. So you just look at that, see how pretty that is. I want about 4 tablespoons of olive oil in a bowl or a cup. And we're just going to make a very simple dressing for this because Italians use oil and vinegar for their dressings. So a little salt, not too much because we have it in the salad. Some red wine vinegar, a couple tablespoons. I'm just eyeballing this. And you just get it well mixed. Ideally, you could let this salad marinate. It tastes even better because the farro is going to absorb a lot of the flavors of the oil and vinegar. So you could make it ahead of time, marinate it at room temperature, or you could use it right away. Okay, so we have what's called an emulsion, you see? All right, so now we're going to pour that over the salad. And we're going to give that a toss. You could add other things to this salad as well. You could add chickpeas. You could add hard-boiled eggs. It would be wonderful too. So mix it well. It's a great salad for summer. And then I like to put it in a nice bowl. Smelling great. Let me get the bowl. Here's my nice Italian salad bowl given to me by my son Chris. All these things going into the salad bowl. And it's going to fit perfectly. Now this is enough to serve a lot of people. Look at that. Gorgeous. Let's just pretty that up a little bit. So there you have it. Farro salad. Today was all about farro, that ancient wheat grain that is really good for you and is all the rage right now. And here we started with the farro cake. Remember, we used farro and we mixed it with eggs and with herbs. And now, to serve it, a little drizzle of olive oil over the top. Serve it warm. And here it is, all cut into a neat slice. It looks beautiful. And what else can you do with farro? you can make a beautiful salad like this and add any kind of vegetable that you would like. Today we used mushrooms, we used sweet red peppers, we used tomatoes, we used herbs, and we combined it with a simple vinaigrette of olive oil and vinegar. It's all ready to enjoy. And until I see you in La Cucina again, I'm Mary Ann Esposito. Ciao! Millions of tourists come here every year to Pompeii, and I've been here several times. And each time I try to think about what was it really like when the people were here, the noises, the smells, the activity, all the things that were going on. And then I think about that fateful day on August 24th, 79 AD, when they had no clue that something was going to happen. Oh yes, they've had earthquakes in the past, dismissed it off, you know, a little rumbling here and there is nothing. But then, when Vesuvius blew its top around 1 o'clock on that fateful day, there was nowhere to go. There was no place to escape to. You literally died in your tracks from asphyxiation, or you were burned instantly with heat that was so intense that we can't even imagine it. Some people say over 700 degrees Fahrenheit. A lot of people tried to escape to the water, and some of them did, huddled together and stayed there for a while. How do we know that? Because they found the remains of these people, all huddled together near the sea. So over 1,000 people that lived in Pompeii died on that fateful day. So this little pit here would be where the water would gather, and if you look up would be kind of like our idea of a skylight today, but open, that would allow the rain to come into this area. And then they would use the water, of course. So this is the entranceway to the house. And you had to be fairly wealthy to have a place like this. So Pompeii really was known as a resort town. It was a resort town. It was on the water, Bay of Naples. And this was a playground, really, for wealthy Romans who came away from wherever else they worked and relaxed. Here they came to just enjoy their gardens, enjoy just being with their friends, just relaxing, like we would like to do today too.
Could have divorced. So she divorced normally. She married the best friend of the Emperor Nero, Otto, and then
It must have been so brightly painted at one time, but it's pretty much intact. I can't make out some of the figures that are up there, but nonetheless, 2,000 years later, it's gorgeous. And it probably had some kind of marine description, I would think, around the walls. I can see a little bit over here on this side. So some sort of marine motif. This is probably where you got all the gossip of the day. Just sitting with your friends, talking about things, home life, politics, whatever. So we're still in the public baths, but this room, we came from the frigidarium to here. This is the spa, S-P-A, just like we know it today. So this room was heated, and we're told that this is the room where you would come to really exfoliate your skin. And one of the things that they would use would be the seeds from the myrtle plant, so myrtle leaf seeds. But anyway, so the walls and the floor were heated, but they were heated through steam vents on the floor beneath there. They would build a wood fire outside, and then the steam would come through and heat this all up, the walls and the floor, so hot that you couldn't stand on it in your bare feet. So you would have to wear some sort of a shoe, a wooden clog or something like that. And you would be in here for a couple of hours because, as I said earlier, the Romans were really into health and cleanliness and hygiene. So this is the spa, not anything like the spas we have today.